What's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06, the greatest NCAA game of all time, here as we get into the final week of regular season action. Got 4 games on tap for you guys, and then we're also at the end of this episode, we will be reviewing the conference championship games that will be featured in the next episode. So some fun games to watch out for this week as we're getting closer to postseason action. So it's going to be a good one here. Make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel, as we will go ahead and jump right into it. First game of the day has Morgan State taking on Rhode Island here, as there's a fumble on the very first play of the game, and Morgan State is going to recover it. So first drive of the game starting inside the 30-yard line, but it ends up being intercepted on the first play of Morgan State's drive. So we have only seen 2 plays, the kickoff return, and we've seen the the first drive for Morgan State ending up in turnovers. So 2 turnovers to start off for the game. We'll see if things start to maybe get a little bit less sloppy, as we're not seeing that right now, man. Halfway through the first quarter, already seeing a few turnovers in this ball game. Not really something that's necessarily ideal, but that is what you get for having 2 teams that are both under 500 playing up against each other. And this might be one of those games that might become a yearly get-together, given the 2 teams that they did end up replacing, for the creation of this dynasty, of course. But give Morgan State credit, despite the fact that the offense comes through. They get 2 turnovers early on in the first quarter. The defense also holding up extremely well and not allowing Rhode Island to really go about taking advantage of those turnovers, and it still remains a tie game despite that, as Maxwell, he's going to take a shot downfield, and we got a big play. We finally see the first points on the board. Sam Maxwell dropping a dime right down the middle of the field, 58-yard touchdown pass, as it was one-on-one coverage. DB trying to make a diving tackle, but it did not work out for him whatsoever, as Rhode Island fumbles it again. And it's recovered by Morgan State. 2 turnovers by both teams all of a sudden, and a chance to make this a 14-0 lead here early. Maxwell, he's going to pull it in, going to try to pass it down the middle of the end zone, and it ends up being caught. Touchdown Bears, and Morgan State will go ahead and take a 14-0 lead earlier. And this is the type of game flow that definitely favors the Bears here. Rhode Island, the type of team that, really likes to have the methodical drives, break the ball down your throat, those kind of things. And, that being down by 2 scores doesn't necessarily help with that, but they will keep with the run, as Ethan Williams just now getting over 100 yards rushing on the year. He's second on the team. That tells you probably why Rhode Island is under 500, coming into this game, 4-6. As they did have a chance to get into the end zone for the very first time today, but unfortunately an interception is going to thwart that opportunity. Although DB, he didn't go ahead and down himself, take a knee, so they had to start this drive on the 1-yard line. So a lot of work that needs to be done just so that Morgan State can get into field goal range. That will certainly help them, as all of a sudden, thanks to Dante Riggs, he's going to have his team in Rhode Island territory. Did a nice job there, breaking a tackle as well, as Maxwell gets into shotgun formation. He's got a bunch formation to the right. Under shotgun, it's a bad snap. Maxwell looking downfield. He's looking for a star receiver, and he does manage to go ahead and come down with the catch. That was some decent press coverage, but able to get out of there just in the nick of time, as it sets up a red zone situation here. 3rd and short, though. Are we going to run for the first down marker? Maxwell, it's a play action. Got a little bit of time and finds his tight end into the end zone. Touchdown, Bears. And Morgan State taking it to Rhode Island here on their senior day as well. And it is a 21-0 affair. Definitely getting close to that. We might be running these guys off the field kind of thing, unless Rhode Island can get something going here on their next possession. Mark Turner, give him some credit, able to get a nice throw to the outside. He does pick up the first down. But can we see Mark Turner, lead the drive? Ethan Williams got some space to work with on the perimeter. That was actually Sean Dunbar who got the carry that time around. Mark Turner doing a fantastic job with the pitch, though, nonetheless. It's now 21-0 game, but Rhode Island driving. Turner getting to the outside. It's going to be another option to the left, and it's going to be picked up by Sean Dunbar off the pitch. And it became a numbers game. Nobody on the perimeter that could catch up to him in time. And the Rams of Rhode Island get off on the board for the very first time today, getting rid of the goose egg as we see Dante Riggs taking it to the house, 85 yards before we go into the locker room. And now, free possession lead here once again. Morgan State looking extremely good right now. As long as they take care of business here in the next 20 to 30 seconds, it could be a very sizable lead going into halftime. But special teams playing a role for Rhode Island, though, as it is going to be taken all the way to the house, a 92-yard touchdown. It will cut the deficit to 2 possessions before we go into halftime. Maxwell trying one more time to try and get themselves into field goal range, maybe something like that before the half, but an interception. Rhode Island cannot do anything with it, though, but they do prevent any more points from being scored, however. So a 28-14 game here as Maxwell got his boys out on the field to start the second half, as that's Dante Riggs making some men miss here real quick, as that was just a beautiful job finding a soft spot in the zone and then making a couple of guys miss there as well. You love to see it. Morgan State will turn that into a field goal. Is this a 17-point lead, but not lasting long, though, as Dunbar, one man left to beat, and does end up being tracked down, but just a beautiful job right there, following his blocks, and gonna set him up in pretty good position, in deep in Morgan State territory. This could get the Rams right back into this game, as Mark Turner actually does get a little bit shaken up, so backup quarterback comes into the game, and unfortunately, he does backup quarterback things, forcing a throw that should have not been tossed in the first place. So instead of cutting this down to a 2-possession game, it's still, 17-point lead for Morgan State, but another fumble, though, and it's yet another turnover. What is going on with the offenses for both teams right now? 4 turnovers for each team. We have 8 turnovers total on the day, and we still have a 4th quarter that needs to be played, but Rhode Island will take advantage of this particular turnover and turn that into 6 points the other way. Just catching the defense a little bit flat-footed there. Might have been expecting a pass of some sorts. I'm not sure what happened, to be honest with you, but down to a 10-point game, keeping it competitive. But Sam Maxwell, he's going to try to keep them at arm's length as much as possible, as that is another huge touchdown pass for Steve Maxwell. Again, one-on-one coverage, and that's just way too easy. Gotta play better coverage than that on the perimeter. If you're trying to come out here and, get some big plays, for your defense, and Rhode Island going to be forced basically to pass the football a lot more than what they're comfortable with. Remember, once again, they are an option squad, as they're going to have to go for it here on 4th down. Need Mark Turner to make something happen, but he fumbles the football, and Morgan State is going to recover it. It was 4th down, and it was going to be a turnover on downs anyways, but that gives Morgan State even better field position than if that pass was just thrown away. So a tough look for the Rams here, as they are trying to keep Morgan State out of the end zone. Give your offense at least a little bit of a sliver of hope, but it's not looking good as they run this clock down. It's going to be another play action, and it's a toss in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Morgan State. As it looks like the Bears are, while not finishing above 500, they most likely will be going ahead and winning this football game, notching their 4th win of the year. But Rhode Island, they still have some time on the clock. They're going to, winning definitely out of the question at this point. I can definitely say that with some pretty solid confidence. But that being said, though, they can still at least finish the game strong, build some momentum going into next season. And this is a drive to do it, getting it out to Sean Dunbar. He makes a really good catch downfield, gets them into the red zone as they have one more play, probably the last play for Rhode Island season, and it ends in a touchdown. They will go ahead and go for a 2-point conversion. Rhode Island actually not doing too terrible on the offensive end. I mean, both teams really turned the football over a lot in this one. But that being said, though, Morgan State, they will notch the win. They win this one by a final score of 45-27. Rhode Island cannot get the 2-point conversion to go, unfortunately. But hey, good game to start this episode. Definitely looking forward to watching these two teams go up against each other in future seasons. It's not every day that you see, 8, 9, 10 turnovers between two teams in a game, so they'll clean it up eventually. Definitely a underrated get-together that could be a part of this series to really help wrap up the end of the regular season. Speaking of wrapping up the regular season, for the first time in this series, I don't recall watching a game in the snow, but we're going to get a little bit of a snow matchup here between Columbia and Cornell, two teams that are towards the bottom of the Ivy League as of right now. Cornell with only one win that did come against Princeton, but Columbia, a team that was doing really well in non-conference play, and then they got into Ivy League action, and it just hasn't happened for them in Ivy League play. A team that maybe could have snuck in there for a playoff spot, at the very least as an at-large bid, given how their non-conference slate ended up going for them. It ends up instead a team fighting to just get above 500, but that being said, I'm going to go ahead, jump into this first play of the game again. Second time that we've seen this already in this episode. The first play opening up with a kick return for a touchdown. So Cornell, trying to pull the upset on Columbia's senior day. They take a quick 7-0 lead, but not only do they get the interception here, but they will be able to return it all the way to the end zone. And that also goes for a touchdown. So a pick 6 and then a kickoff return. Cornell getting contributions from their defense as well as their special teams here that will give them a 14-0 lead early. And this was all within the first minute of this game, right? Definitely some action-packed stuff that if you're a Cornell guy, you're really excited about that, as a Big Red continues to build up this early lead as the special team strikes again. We have still not seen the offense for Cornell take the field yet, and they're up 21-0 already. Columbia in very big trouble right now, as they are going to need this offense to get to work, and sure enough, we will get exactly just that, as that's going to be a touchdown for the Lions of Columbia, as that will get rid of the goose egg that is currently on the board. Still down by 2 possessions though, but the thing about Cornell definitely struggling in terms of moving the football. One of the worst third down conversion teams in the nation, as Cornell trying to do the same and just not happening there. Mark Reynolds able to come in there, gets his 5th sack of the season, and Cornell is going to go ahead and punt this football away. So So it gives a chance for Cornell to, or Columbia to get right back into this game. But Dante Smith, he's going to be able to throw this man into the next century. A very hard hit for the senior defensive lineman. And will Columbia go for it on 4th down? They actually don't. So a very promising drive that does end up stalling out there. But Columbia will get more chances, though, as a turnover gets them into Cornell territory to start the drive. Madison loading this one downfield, and it's a pitch and catch. How about this? Daryl Madison throwing this up for grabs, and his receiver having to come down with it. That was really good safety help. That was an extremely tight window. I don't know how he managed to come down with it. Columbia will end up coming away with a field goal there, but still 2-possession game here. Cornell still with a solid lead to work with, but really beginning to see that lead slowly eroding away. 1:15 left to play here in the first half. We got a punt in the air, and look at this. Columbia's special teams getting involved in the action as they will get a touchdown of their own. We've seen 3 special teams touchdowns here on the day, and it's now all of a sudden, we thought Cornell was going to run away with this game potentially. That's not happening here. Columbia, after being down 21-0 early, they are now right back into the game and could get some more points on board if Cornell cannot pick up this 3rd down. It's a 3rd and long, and it's intercepted. Even better for the Lions, as that's the 2nd turnover forced on the Cornell Big Red. And all of a sudden, down 21-0 originally, they have a chance to take the lead before going into the halftime locker room. We'll see what Daryl Madison's got as he lines up under center. He's going to drop back to pass, looking, facing some pressure, and Cornell, they send 5 guys there, a little bit of a disguised blitz, as Columbia will be forced to take a timeout. Only 20 seconds left to play here in the half, as he gets a beautiful ball out to the perimeter there, even doing himself a favor and getting out of bounds. That does stop the clock. A few plays later, though, 4th and 8. Madison needing some heroics, though, and it doesn't happen there. Cornell getting to the quarterback once again. And it looks like the Big Red are going to be going into the halftime locker room. Still with the lead, but I feel like Columbia still has the momentum, though, as they have 17 unanswered points currently since that 21-0 deficit. And not to mention, Columbia is starting with the football to begin the second half. They have a chance to seize the lead coming out of the locker room, and they will do exactly that as he finds his tight end in the back of the end zone. And for the first time today, Columbia is going to take the lead. They're going to be up 24-21. So we haven't seen Cornell do anything with their offense. All of their scores either came from their defense or special teams. We'll see if that could change, but receiver gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree. So does the quarterback, and that doesn't go anywhere either. Now Columbia in complete control. Madison throwing down the sideline, finds his star receiver, Roderick Woodward, who plays both sides of the football. He's listed as a cornerback, but he'll play some wide receiver as well if need be. And that's exactly what we're seeing here as he finds his two-way player, and it's another touchdown for Columbia. The Lions up by 10 here is going to make it 31-21 there. And look at that. Woodward making some things happen, and it's a 10-point lead. Cornell desperately needing a strike. They will get it in return, as that is the 7th first down of the day for the Big Red, as that will help them get into good field position just outside of, well, maybe on the edge of field goal range, but the offensive line just gives up on Cole Black there, it seems like. as all of the defensive linemen that the Lions sent on that play, they all got there at around the same time. So now, still a 10-point lead for Columbia. How about we make it a 17-point lead, as that is yet another touchdown pass for Daryl Madison. Just again, one-on-one, trusting this guy to come up there and make a play. And hey, we got exactly that, man. We got exactly that. So now Cole Black really needs to get his offense going. Offense has not scored all day long. If it wasn't for the defense and special teams, this recording probably would have been over, at least for this game, or I would have cut to the next one. But, you know, thanks to the defense and special teams for Cornell, this is still a little bit of a game, as we will finally go ahead and see Cornell get their first offensive touchdown of the game. They have 4 touchdowns total. That's crazy to me. Matter of fact, they can make a little bit of a rally here, but those hopes quickly do end up getting dashed, as not only does it end up getting interception, it also ends up becoming a pick 6, as mama, there certainly goes that man. 17-point lead now for the Columbia Lions, and it's another interception. Oh no, Cole Black, what is you doing, my man? That is the 3rd interception by this defense. And after a little bit of an initial struggle, Columbia ends up scoring 52 of the next 59 points in this game to most likely secure this win. But Cole Black, he's going to make some sort of throw here, gets it out to the star receiver, who is going to score here, is going to make the score look a little bit better. But besides the first quarter, this was all Columbia, man. What an impressive comeback, being down 21-0 early, and yet still having that composure here on senior day. And while they will not be winning the Ivy League this year, this is still a solid season for Columbia Lions, as they will finish the year 6-5. Cornell, meanwhile, not only one of the worst teams in the Ivy League, but they will also be considered one of the worst teams in this FCS Dynasty here in year number 1, as they will finish the season 1-10 in this one. But we do have some rivalry game action here in the Pac-10 Conference, as we have North Dakota going on the road to take on North Dakota State. Now, North Dakota State, they are not going to be able to win the conference, but, you know, still in play, you know, to make it into the FCS playoffs. So, with that 10-1 record, they got to take care of business against what should be called their rival. I don't know why they're not listed as rivals, to be honest with you guys, but this is definitely a rivalry game. This is for the battle of North Dakota. And let's go ahead and jump right into his thing, starting with Brian Alexander, the lefty, throwing it over the middle, finding it to Michael Sapp, who gets his 20th catch of the year. This is a team that does not throw the football all that much, but when they do go ahead and throw that football, they are really effective with it, and it just sets up this running game, which they are absolutely known for, and they do such a fantastic job with it. North Dakota State, no surprises here so far. They're going to take an early 14-0 lead here against their rivals in the state of North Dakota. I don't remember what North Dakota's nickname is, so if off the top of my head. So if you guys know anything about that, let me know down in the comments, so I can make a note of that for next time out. It's just escaping me right now. But one thing that is pretty clear right now is that the Bison, they are dominating this game right now, as Henry Goins thought he was going to get a pick 6. It doesn't quite happen for him there, but it does set up yet another touchdown for North Dakota State. It is becoming pretty clear that, you know, North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, they gotta do something here, man, because right now, not looking good for them, as yet another turnover is going to take place here. Just trying to dodge the pressure. That offensive line simply not doing anything to hold up whatsoever. So a 21-0 lead, as the fullback starts to get involved here as well. He's going to be rumbling and stumbling on field. That's a good 20 to 30 yards that he just picked up. When you can get that from your fullback, you're going to be able to have yourself a pretty good day, I would say. And, you know, we're certainly seeing that unfold right in front of our eyes right now as North Dakota State, they take a 28-0 lead now as Larson is going to find the end zone. So the Fighting Hawks desperately looking for some sort of offense as nothing has been really happening for them in a positive way, except here, receiver getting loose, and he's going to be dropped down at about the 21-yard line. For the first time today, the Fighting Hawks here with a chance to really go out there and make things interesting. Okay, they do end up settling for a field goal, but hey, we're not going to get a shutout, and their defense also playing better. They get a turnover via interception on Brian Alexander, who is not the most aggressive passer. You know, he's not going to throw, you know, the really flashy stats, but Brian Alexander has done a good job so far this year of, you know, for the most part, taking care of the football. Just didn't see it that time around. Unfortunately, Fighting Hawks also throw an interception of their own here as the Bison, they will keep their 28-3 lead, and I don't see any Atlanta Falcons players on the field. So, you know, something crazy can always happen. It's never over until the fat lady sings, but as of right now, I really do feel like that 28-3 lead feels kind of safe as Brian Alexander tries to pitch it, and it ends up being deflected into the hands of a North Dakota player. A turnover, second turnover by Brian Alexander, who probably would have been a little bit better off in terms of actually just going ahead and, you know, keeping that himself. You know, just he wanted those extra yards, and that's not quite what happened whatsoever. So North Dakota, they got a touchdown on the board. They take advantage of the turnover, and it's a 28-10 game here. We'll see if they can do the same thing here as North Dakota trying to run the option. It nearly ends up being catastrophic as the man ends up getting dropped at the 1-yard line. Is not considered a safety, but it was really close to falling under that path as the Bison continuing to pour it on as Brian Alexander throws it to the flat, makes it 35-10 in favor of North Dakota State, showing why they should be a team to be reckoned with, even though they aren't going to win their own conferences. Look at this ball bounce. This is insane. That ball was bouncing all over the place. Didn't really see that much this season in terms of, you know, that kind of like ball bounce. That is something unique, but it does end up being a lot to the little as North Dakota State is going to end up running with this one here. So I didn't want to show this game like in actual gameplay because I figured it was going to be a blowout. And I was right. Oral Roberts, their final game of the year was against the #1 team in the nation, San Diego State, and they went to town, man, winning 49-10, ended up being the final score. And Adam Mosley, the quarterback for the Aztecs, goes off in this one, 24 for 29, 410 yards, and 5 touchdowns as well. Adam Harrell of Oral Roberts, so he, you know, looked good in the losing effort, though. 20 carries, 152 yards, and a score. So it should be pretty easy to say that San Diego State will be that #1 team in the nation going into when we officially start postseason action. So for the final game of the regular season here in this inaugural season of this FCS Dynasty, we got a little bit of a unique matchup. Now, we have seen Northern Colorado in the past, but this is the first time that we're checking out the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. I really rock with that name, Thunderbirds. That is one heck of a name right there. We'll see if they can live to that play on the field as, you know, two teams in the WAC conference that are, you know, not that good. 3-7 for Southern Utah, while Northern Colorado is 2-9, both having difficult years, but looking to get some positive momentum built before going into the offseason, though. As Southern Utah, both teams like to run the football, but we see a rare case of not only passing the ball, but actually finding a way to making the passing game a little bit effective. And it sets up a Southern Utah red zone trip as they only made 25 trips to the red zone throughout the year, but 18 for 25. That's relatively efficient, as that ends up being... I thought that was going to be a touchdown for a second, but great athletic play to prevent the score, and it will end up being 2nd and goal instead, but the Thunderbirds will find their way into the end zone. They're going to be soaring to the lead here, as that fullback, he was wide butt naked open on his way to the end zone, and it's going to be a 7-0 game early in favor of the Thunderbirds. And because they got that lead, it helps them in terms of going about setting up some really great field position right there. It's going to now be another red zone trip, 2 red zone trips in 1 day for Southern Utah. You love to see it, except that time it's on the ground. Who recovers? It's Northern Colorado, making a stand with less than 90 seconds left to play in the half, so a chance to tie things up before we go into halftime. Except Sean Doucette, the defensive end, gets his first interception of the season. And how about this? Just kind of playing as a spy, trying to make sure that that quarterback did not scramble out of the pocket in his direction. He was playing contain and ends up with an interception instead. Very cool moment right there. Way to get your first interception of the season, and it sets up a Southern Utah touchdown as well. So a 14-0 lead for the Thunderbirds. As now we jump into the second half here. Northern Colorado trying to respond to trying to get some points on the board, but yet another turnover for the Bears. Just a difficult day for Northern Colorado, as Southern Utah is able to turn it around and get a field goal out of it. 17-0 here, but this might be the big play that they're looking for, as that is Mike Jordan, who gets his first really big run of the day, and able to get to the edge there a little bit, playing a little bit too hard, crashing towards the quarterback. So now we'll see what the Bears can build off of it. 3rd and 8, gets it out to the tight end, who's gonna rumble and stumble his way into the end zone. Touchdown Bears, unless this penalty is against the offense, but sure enough, it actually goes against the defense, roughing the passer, and it's on Sean Doucette, who had that interception to close out the first half. But here's the thing now, both teams like to run the football, so really important that we see a miracle here if North Colorado wants to win, and we might see one right in front of our eyes. Jonathan Holmes just fumbles the football, and Southern Utah, they were in the business of trying to run out the clock, but Northern Colorado, they were given a chance. However, unfortunately for them, they cannot take advantage of it, and so Southern Utah, they're going to notch their 4th win of the year, get some positive momentum into the offseason, whereas Northern Colorado, we're going to have some things to think about, as well as they will finish year number 1 of this FCS Dynasty 2-10. It's not a good record by any stretch of the imagination. Gonna be essentially one of those things where nothing you can do but go up from here, as that will wrap up the gameplay of this regular season. So with no upsets happening over the course of week 15, we now go ahead and jump into the conference championship matchups. Now, there wasn't any changes from this past week in terms of the top 25 polls or anything like that, but we do take a deeper dive into the conference championships. A lot of implications on the line given what's in store, and this is the time that I'm going to talk about the FCS playoffs as well. My current intent here is I want to have a full 24-team playoff. There's a couple of mods out there that might allow me to do that. So that's my intent, to try to have some sort of playoff system. If it is the full 24 that I'm trying to do, if you win your conference, for the exception of the Sun Belt, then you will advance automatically to that conference championship game. So we got 5 automatic bids that are currently going to be contested, in the next episode. First game's probably one of the most intriguing games of the episode, starting with a banger. number 8 James Madison taking on the number 15 ranked Delaware Fighting Blue Hens. Now Delaware, they're riding a 4-game winning streak. James Madison riding a 5-game winning streak. These two teams have played before, and James Madison's only loss in conference play did go to Delaware, but it is really difficult to go out there and try to beat the same team twice. So we'll see if James Madison can get their revenge or not. Northwestern State, we see them getting a huge win against Southeastern late in the season to punch their ticket into the conference championship game. Currently riding a 3-game winning streak, unranked 7-4 as of right now. So they have to beat Georgia Southern here in the next episode if they want to go to the FCS playoffs, because they will not make it in as an at-large. Georgia Southern, on the other hand, could still make it in, but you honestly never know. They're riding a 4-game winning streak, and I believe Ikeda Woods is going to be healthy for this game as well. So this should also be a really intriguing matchup. Two teams that both really enjoy running the football, so that'll be a fun one for the SEC championship. And then smack dab in the middle of the 5 o'clock games, we got the game of the week here. We got number 10 ranked SMU taking on number 3 Eastern Carolina. Both teams likely making it to the FCS playoffs. It just is a matter of what seed they are going to end up getting. With that though, there are 2 more conference championships I want to dive into. Ball State taking on Akron in the MAC championship. Akron running a 9-game winning streak right now, one of the longest in the country down here in this FCS universe. Ball State with a 2-game winning streak, 8-3. They're kind of on that bubble as an at-large, so if they want to be comfortable in the FCS playoffs, get that lock, they got to beat Akron. Akron will probably be in no matter what. Just this win will help them with playoff seasoning and potentially help them get a bye, because remember, top 8 teams in the FCS, they do end up getting a bye. They automatically advance to the second round. So then 16 teams will play each other in that first round, right? So you got that going on. One team that is on the bubble, Southern, they're right now ranked number 24 in the country, just popping into the top 25 after their recent victory against Texas Southern. They're 8-3 with a 4-game winning streak. And then Grambling State. Now Grambling State, they got one team had to get out of the division, and it was not a great division by any stretch of the imagination, but Grambling State made it out, and they will be facing up against Georgia, or this Southern squad. If Grambling State doesn't win this Big 12 Conference Championship, their season is going to be over. But if they do beat Southern and pull the upset, then they can go ahead and move on out and get the opportunity to play in the FCS playoffs. So, guys, that's going to wrap things up here. Next episode, we will have the conference championship games, 5 games on tap. And since we are now moving into postseason action, all of your remaining episodes here in season number 1 are going to be as premieres on the YouTube channel. So it's going to be exciting. You're going to want to get the buckle seat wrapped up, ready to go, because there's going to be some great postseason action to wrap up this inaugural season. I want to thank you guys so much for the support of this series. It's been a fun inaugural season. Y'all have really came through with the support for real. And with that, this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. But before you do so, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button if you have to be brand new. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.